privilege of introducing our speaker. It's my pleasure and joy to introduce Tom Baker. Tom's a former Catholic priest who inspired to follow a different path in his spiritual journey. He embraces the philosophies and a teacher of the Course in Miracles, which he teaches here on Sundays at 4:30. And he's a longtime student of near-death studies. Tom is a professional counselor. Tom is an ordained minister with a Fellowship of the Inner Light and serves our fellowship for many years. Currently, he teaches the Fellowship Seminary class on homiletics, and we'll be doing that this Thursday with our group. Tom shares with wit and humor and inspires us in becoming more conscious in our journey through life, touching our hearts to the deepest levels. He gets us laughing, which helps us bring forth new insights that are useful in our lives. I believe in the simplicity of his sharing that great truths are revealed. Tom is a comforting presence in our church. He is always joyful, and I feel blessed that he is here with us today. Let's open our hearts today for today's message, and let's welcome Tom Baker.
Well, it occurred to me one day that salvation history is very simple. It goes like this. We were bad, which made God mad, which then made Jesus sad, and he got killed, but then God was glad and raised Jesus from the dead. And isn't that awful? The old theology says essentially that Jesus died in our place, that we deserved the crucifixion. And Jesus died for us so that our sins may be forgiven. He died in our place. Now, I would say that is not actually how it happened. I don't believe he died in our place. I don't think the resurrection begins with death. I think the resurrection always is shot through with light and life and love. I think today the church is waking from its dream of crucifixion. And we are opening up to the possibilities of resurrection, each of us. But we have to get over this idea that love is sacrifice. That I sacrifice myself to you and you sacrifice yourself to me, and somehow we live happily ever after. Sounds like a bad deal to me. I had an experience once that I wrote a poem about. I had 4 nuptial masses in one day. Now, in order to dispose of the elements, that is called the species, which is the bread and the wine after everybody has taken communion, and they were all communion masses, you have to finish the elements that everybody left over. So I had 4 masses in which I kept getting drunker and drunker and drunker. And here's the poem I wrote about it. One Saturday, I had 5 nuptial masses. I had 5, not 4, I had 5. A marathon of grace and a challenge to sobriety, and that the priest finished all the leftover consecrated wine himself. After the 3rd Mass, I was relaxed. After the 4th, a clumsy dancer. And during the 5th, I forgot the names of the bride and groom. Then I stood at the back of the church, clutching a pew and watching the 6th wedding of the day performed by another priest. The priest, preaching to the couple, said, "From this day forward, each of you will sacrifice yourself to the other, as the Lord sacrificed himself for us." Disinhibited, I shouted, "Don't do it! Save yourselves from such nonsense!" But only in my mind did I shout. So the recessional began, and I held on to the pew as if in a storm. The storm of my own rage. When that priest said that to them, it sounded like a grim, bleak, and sad sentence pronounced upon 2 criminals. From this day on. Can you hear that? Can you imagine celebrating your honeymoon with a beginning like that? Let me sacrifice myself to you and you to me. My God. Well, God said, or the Bible intimates, that God sent Jesus to us because God was angry. What if God wasn't angry? What if there is no wrath of God? I think that in every church throughout the country, throughout the world, we should write on the wall, God is not angry. We're not dealing with an angry God. What if God is like a father? That's what Jesus said he was like. Tending to his distressed child who has little or no idea what is happening to him or her. That was Jesus on the cross. What if God is 1,000 times gentler than a mother's touch? God, who made the human eye to be as gentle as it is precise, made us all so sensitive to one another's voices that we can hear whether a person loves us in the tone of their voice in the first 3 seconds that they talk to us. We pick that up. We know about love, but we especially know about its absence. It's what we so long for. All our fantasies about being loved, being famous, being well known, being popular. It's all to be loved. It's all it ever was. And God does that for us. At the tomb, Mary Magdalene sees Jesus, and she thinks he is the gardener. And he plays along with her. "Who are you looking for?" he asks. "Well, Jesus, of course." "You haven't heard? He's gone. Somebody took his body. What happened?" And then Jesus says, "Mary." And she knows who he is. She hears the love in his voice. When I think of love, I think of the word recognition. When you love somebody, you recognize something in them that is beyond them. That is not just that person you spend time with and have gotten used to. No, there's a moment which you say another person's name and look into their eyes. And you know that person. Deeply know them. And they are sacred to you. That's Easter. That's Easter. It's not just Jesus being raised from the dead. We can approach that scientifically or with faith or whatever. How did the body get resurrected? We can ask. But that's the wrong question. The right question is, when did Easter occur? And it's when Mary recognized his voice and they knew each other. But this is not a hallmark Easter, because Jesus says to her, don't cling to me, don't touch me. Because he had accomplished something at that point that all of us are headed towards. And that's universal love. It would be overwhelming. Be hugged by universal love. Now, we don't begin with universal love. We just begin by loving one person, two people, maybe three people. When I was a priest, I had a school in my parish. And there was an 8th grade girl I saw at lunch one time. She had her head down. She was all by herself. And I came up to her and I said, Vicki, are you all right? And she said, oh, Father, not really. I'm not doing that well. I said, well, what's wrong? And she said, well, my first best friend is sick. And my second best friend is mad at me. And I'm mad at my third best friend. So I'm all alone here. And I said, well, can I be your best friend for today? She said, oh no, Father. You're everybody's best friend. You won't do. You don't count. We're all headed for universal love. And we've all experienced so much of life that other people have shared. Just like Jesus, a screaming child out in the backyard, humanity. I think that Jesus did not die to forgive our sins. I don't think Jesus thought we were sinners. I think he thought we were all right. We were mixed up. Sure. But we were all right. I've said to you before, there are 3 thoughts that undermine our peace of mind. One thought is that something is wrong with us. The second thought is that no one loves me. And the third thought is I'm all alone. Horrible thoughts. And Jesus on the cross experienced all of those states. On the cross, Jesus is the poor person, the person in pain, the depressed person. My God, why have you forsaken me? The lonely person, the helpless person. In other words, you and I at extremity. He becomes each of us in our suffering. Resurrection is each of us in our joy. In a moment of delight, knowing deep in our souls that we will live forever, which means spending eternity with the people we love, which is everybody. Yes, when you get to the other side, we're all going to be there, whether you like it or not. I know you were hoping. Some people just might not make it. Nope. At the center of our souls, we love everyone. We've never stopped loving everyone. We've forgotten, but we still love everyone. I believe we are at the dawning of a new Christianity. A Christianity in which love and gentleness and forgiveness come first, and fear and judgment and analysis begin to disappear. The second coming of Christ will be Christ reuniting with our hearts and minds, as he is doing now in little groups in churches all over the world. Jesus started with 12 very ordinary men, instructing them to love one another. Not to fear, judge, or analyze one another, but simply to love. The Dalai Lama has said that kindness is his religion. Not Buddhism or Hinduism or a version of Christianity, but simple kindness. That is a better religion than any one existing today. This Easter, I tell myself and I invite you to convert to kindness and find yourself in heaven. In kindness, we truly come home. In kindness, we are renewed. And in kindness, we can be completely ourselves. Thank you for your kindnesses to me over the years. You've allowed me to come to myself and relax. Even if there was no cocktail this morning to soothe my nerves, I think I did okay.